You haven't lost the will to live. You've lost the will to explain yourself. You are tired of explaining yourself to people who were never really listening in the first place. There is a very specific kind of tired that sleep does not fix. Not a nap, not 8 hours, not even a long vacation. Because the exhaustion isn't from what you're doing. It's from the relentless labor of being around people. Nobody has a clean word for that. So we just call it burnout. We have depression. We stress. We have introversion as a catch-all label. But we don't talk about the experience of sitting in a room full of people you love and still feeling like you're running on 3% battery, waiting for it to be socially acceptable to leave. That is what this is, a precise, delicate intersection of feeling. Sign 1. You need a recovery period after socializing that feels disproportionate to what happened. You went to dinner, it was fine. Actually, it was good. People laughed, the food was decent, nobody said anything offensive. And then you get home and you just lie there on your bed. Needing the world to be quiet for a while. Most people chalk this up to introversion and move on. Which honestly flattens something more interesting. What's happening is closer to sustained cognitive depletion. Social interaction requires continuous processing, reading facial cues, tracking tone, adjusting in real time to a room full of other people's emotional states. Psychologist Mark Snyder found that people differ significantly when it comes to regulating their behavior. For people whose brains are doing that work constantly and consciously, the exhaustion afterward is real. Sign 2. You feel lonelier in a group than you do sitting alone in your apartment. This one is hard to explain because it sounds like a paradox. If you've sat in the middle of a gathering and felt a hollow ache, you know what I mean. The conversation is happening around you. People are laughing. And you're present enough to laugh too at the right moments. And yet somehow unreachable. Because nothing being said is actually meaningful. It's just surface, pleasantries stacked on pleasantries until everyone goes home. Alone at least you're not performing. And this isn't just a personal perception thing. Researchers found that the negative effects of loneliness on well-being were actually stronger when people were with others. Being in a room where you feel unseen doesn't protect you from loneliness. Sometimes it amplifies it. Sign 3. You've started lying about your availability, and you're not even remotely ashamed of it anymore. The message comes in, someone inviting you somewhere. And before you've consciously decided anything, your brain is already halfway through drafting a reason. You're going to be at home in comfortable clothes, feeling quietly relieved. And that release is worth contemplating for a sec. Because that level of relief suggests the seeing of them has cost you significantly more. Sign 4. Small talk has started to feel like a mild but very real form of punishment. There's a spectrum with this. Some people find small talk low stakes and easy. For other people, it feels like being asked to run a long distance in completely the wrong shoes. The sheer effort of a simple phone call. That's a signal that even the small stuff is expensive for you now. Sign 5. You've become inexplicably short with the people you love most. This one produces a form of guilt, because it's not strangers you're snapping at. It's your partner, your closest friend, your mom. They've done nothing wrong and you know that. Which somehow makes the irritability harder to sit with. You've run through it with everyone else. Sign 6. You fantasize about disappearing, not in any dark way, in a weirdly specific and almost embarrassingly wholesome way. You want a cottage or a remote village somewhere with unreliable internet. You want a place where nobody has an existing impression of you yet. The fantasy isn't really about geography, even when it feels like it is. Sign 7. You've started mourning who you used to be around people. This is the one that sits heaviest. But here's what that grief is actually pointing at. You haven't become someone who dislikes people. You've become someone who can no longer afford to spend time with the wrong ones. Exhaustion explained.